He slid the check across the desk without looking at me. $300, half of what I'd earned. I looked at it once, looked again, and I said, "Mr. Davis, this is wrong. I worked 40 hours. This is only half." He didn't even lift his eyes from the computer. "I checked the system, Rosa. You worked 20. "I didn't," I said. "I know how many hours I worked." That's when he stopped typing. He leaned back in his chair, and he said, "You don't have proof, Rosa, and if you complain, you won't have work here anymore." Before I tell you what happened, if you're new here, subscribe. Turn on notifications. I don't want to lose you. These stories travel far. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from tonight. I like knowing who's sitting with me. He said it calmly. That's what made it worse. He wasn't angry. He was confident. Confident that I wouldn't fight. Confident that I wouldn't know how. Confident that I wouldn't have documentation. Confident that I was replaceable. He said it in front of another employee. Like my 40 hours could disappear just because he decided they didn't exist. But here's what he didn't know. By the time this ended, he would have to explain himself in front of the state of Texas. And proof was the one thing I had. It was March 2018. I was 42 years old. Sophia had just started nursing school, and that meant I was working 3 jobs. 3. Daytime, houses in River Oaks. Night, office buildings downtown. Weekends, catering events with Mr. Davis. We calculated everything down to the dollar. Tuition, rent, gas, groceries, utilities. There was no extra. That $600 wasn't extra money. It was scheduled money. When you live like that, every dollar already has a destination. So when he handed me $300, it wasn't a mistake. It was disruption. And here's something important. When you're an immigrant, when English is your second language, when you clean houses and offices and work in kitchens, some employers assume something. They assume you don't know the law. They assume you won't complain. They assume you won't document. They assume you're afraid. Sometimes they're right, but not with me. Since 1996, when I came to this country, I have carried a small spiral notebook. It fits in my purse. Every shift, every hour, every start time, every finish time, what I did, where I was. I didn't start doing that because I was paranoid. I started because I learned something early. If nobody gives you documentation, you create your own. I learned that after a woman once claimed I broke a vase in her house. I hadn't, but she had no camera, no witnesses, no proof. That day, I decided I would never be caught without records again. Documentation became survival. So when Mr. Davis said, "You don't have proof," I didn't panic. I went home, opened my notebook. March 2018, 4 weekends, 40 hours. Then I opened my drawer, the envelope, punch receipts from the company's own electronic system, time in, time out, his system, his proof. And that's when something shifted. The question wasn't, am I right? The question became, will the system protect someone like me? But let me tell you something dangerous. When someone with authority tells you you're wrong, even if you know you're right, a small voice appears. What if you miscounted? What if you misunderstood? What if he's right? Power distorts perception. That's how manipulation works. You don't shout. You don't threaten. You speak calmly. You say, "The system says 20," and suddenly you're defending reality. I checked the math 3 times because somewhere in the back of my mind, I didn't want to be the difficult employee. I didn't want to be that worker. And here's the part nobody talks about. Standing up for yourself when you're financially vulnerable feels reckless. Because if you lose, you don't just lose dignity. You lose income. I picked up the phone, put it down, picked it up again, and then I called the Texas Workforce Commission. When the woman answered, she asked one question: "Do you have documentation?" That question alone tells you everything about the system. It doesn't ask, did he intimidate you? Did he threaten your job? It asks, can you prove it? And I could. 2 days later, I sat across from Ms. Patricia Monroe. She looked at my notebook carefully.
She looked at the receipts. She looked at me. "Mrs. Santos," she said, "this is very good record keeping." That sentence did something inside me. Because here's the truth. When you've been doubted, being believed is powerful. She filed the claim, and 3 weeks later, she scheduled a meeting. Mr. Davis would be there, and that's when fear came back. Conference room, white walls, metal chairs, government building. Mr. Davis didn't look at me. He looked irritated, like this was an inconvenience. Miss Monroe asked him, "She claims 40 hours. You paid for 20. Do you dispute this?" "Yes," he said confidently. "The system shows 20. She turned to me. "Documentation?" I opened my purse, placed the notebook on the table, then the receipts, one by one. I didn't explain. I didn't defend. I didn't apologize. I let paper speak. And this is important. Calm is power. Anger is dismissed. Emotion is minimized. But documentation is undeniable. Ms. Monroe compared the receipts to the payroll system. Then she looked at him. "These are from your own punch system. They show 40 hours. Silence. That silence was heavy. Because it wasn't about $300 anymore. It was about credibility. He stuttered. "Payroll mistake. Under Texas law, he owed me $300 plus penalty. 10 days. Or escalation. Proof mattered. But only because I created it." 8 days later, I picked up the check. No apology. No explanation. Just money. I stepped outside the building and cried, not because I was sad, because I was tired. Winning doesn't erase exhaustion. Winning doesn't erase the humiliation of being doubted. Winning just restores what was already yours. That night, I paid Sophia's tuition. I almost told her everything, but I didn't want her carrying my stress. Some battles you fight so your children don't have to.
Let's zoom out. Wage theft is one of the most common labor violations in the United States. Millions of dollars every year. And it rarely happens to executives. It happens to immigrants, hourly workers, cleaning staff, kitchen staff, construction workers, people assumed to be quiet. Documentation changes that. Documentation shifts power. Because systems may not protect you automatically, but systems do respond to evidence. And that's the difference between hope and leverage. "You don't have proof." That phrase stayed with me, but now I hear it differently. Proof is not given. Proof is built. Every hour written down, every receipt saved, every message screenshot, every, "Can you put that in writing?" That's not distrust. That's maturity. The system protects the prepared, not the hopeful. And if you've ever been called too careful, you're not. You're strategic. Some people told me, "It's only $300. Only? $300 was textbooks, groceries, rent. It wasn't only money, it was dignity. There are two kinds of people. People who trust the system will protect them, and people who protect themselves. I used to be the first kind. Now I'm the second. Which one are you? Because one day, someone might say, "You don't have proof," and you'll open your notebook and you'll say, "Yes, I do." Keep your records. Keep your receipts. Keep your dignity. The system protects the prepared, and I will never let anyone tell me I don't have proof again. Proof matters, especially when power says it doesn't.